Every single thought, every quiet doubt, if you let them decide your day, you're handing away your power. The truth is, the most steady people don't have perfect lives. They've just learned what to tell themselves when they wake up. Picture starting each morning feeling calm, no more heavy worries, no more getting stuck on old problems, just clear control. In a few moments, I'll show you how to use 10 powerful things to tell yourself every morning so you stop feeling lost and start taking charge. Because once you start every day this way, nothing and no one can break your spirit again. Today begins with me. The world will try to set the tempo of your life before you've drawn your first breath of dawn. It does not wait for permission. It does not ask if you are ready. The moment your eyes open, the noise rushes in expectations, obligations, the weight of yesterday's unfinished business. Demands wait like wolves at the door, hungry and restless, eager to consume whatever you offer them. They have no patience for your peace. They care nothing for your readiness. But before you step into the day, remind yourself, today begins with me. I am not a servant to outside noise. I am not a leaf blown by every wind that gusts through the morning. I am the architect of this morning. The blueprint is mine to draw. The foundation is mine to set. No voice, no demand, no urgency from the outside world can claim the first hour unless I surrender it. Wake and claim your ground. Do not rush toward the chaos. Do not hand yourself over before you have gathered your strength. Before the world takes a piece of you, give yourself the first and best moment. This is not selfishness, it is survival. It is wisdom. The day will ask much of you, and you cannot pour from an empty vessel. Breathe deeply. Let the air fill your lungs and remind you that you are alive, that you are present, that this moment belongs to you. Gather your mind. Pull back the scattered thoughts that drift toward worry, toward doubt, toward the endless list of what must be done. Center yourself in the now. Picture the path ahead not as a punishment, but as a chance to write your own lines. The hours stretch before you like blank pages. You are not condemned to walk them in fear. You are invited to walk them with intention. Let no one decide your mood, your purpose, your worth before you do. These are yours to define. These are yours to protect. Say it. Today, I decide who I will be. Not circumstance, not the expectations of others, not the failures of yesterday or the uncertainties of tomorrow. Today, I will not stumble blindly. I will walk with purpose, even if the way is shrouded in fog. I do not need to see the entire road. I only need to see the next step and take it with conviction. Each action, each thought, each response begins and ends with me. I am the author of my reactions. I am the guardian of my inner peace. No external force can dictate my state of mind unless I allow it entrance. This day will not break me. It may test me. It may challenge me. It may push against my resolve with unexpected force, but I will not shatter. I will shape it in my own image. I will meet whatever comes with the steady knowledge that the power to begin, to respond, to endure, it all starts here, within me, before the world has spoken a single word. I decide my response. Storms may rage around us. They come without warning, without mercy, without care for what we have already endured. The world will press its weight upon our shoulders and sometimes try to crush us beneath it. It does not ask if we are ready. It does not measure its blows against our strength. The pressure comes, relentless and indifferent, testing the foundations of who we are. But in every storm, we possess a power few ever use, the power to choose our response. This is the hidden fortress within us. This is the strength that no external force can breach. The storm may howl. The winds may tear at everything we have built. Yet the decision of how we meet it remains ours alone. Say to yourself, I am not a puppet of anger, fear, or despair. I am not a creature of reflex, jerking at every provocation. I am not made to be pulled by every shadow that crosses my path. The darkness may come, the challenges may multiply, but I am not bound to dance to their rhythm. Today, when trouble finds me, I will pause. I will not leap into reaction. I will not surrender my peace to the first wave of difficulty. I will remember that my first response is my true strength. The seconds between what happens and how I answer those seconds belong to me. In that space lives my power. In that silence lives my freedom. Others may lash out, complain, or crumble. They may meet pressure with panic, insult with fury, disappointment with defeat. Let them. That is their path. It does not have to be ours. We will breathe, assess, and respond as we choose, not as life demands. We will not be dragged into chaos simply because chaos surrounds us. We will stand in the eye of the storm and find stillness there. The one who commands his response commands his fate. This is not mere philosophy. It is the deepest truth of how we shape our lives. We cannot control what comes to us. We cannot stop the rain from falling or the ground from shaking. But we can decide what we do when the rain comes. We can choose how we stand when the earth moves beneath our feet. So, as you begin this day, remind yourself, no one and nothing can make me react. Not harsh words, not unfair treatment, not the weight of circumstances beyond my choosing. My response is mine alone. It is my signature on every moment. It is my declaration of who I am beneath the surface. In every moment of pressure, I will answer from my center, not from fear, not from wounded pride, not from the desperate need to strike back. From my center, calm, grounded, unshaken. In this, I am unbreakable. The storms will come. They always do. But I will meet them with the quiet certainty that my response is my own, and no force on earth can take that from me. Challenges make me stronger. Most people pray for easy days, for comfort, for a life untouched by trouble. They dream of smooth paths and gentle winds, of mornings without worry and nights without weight. They believe that peace is found in the absence of struggle, that happiness lives only where difficulty cannot reach. But this is the great illusion that keeps so many trapped in weakness. Comfort dulls the mind and weakens the will. It wraps itself around us like a warm blanket, and slowly, imperceptibly, it robs us of our edge. The muscles we never use begin to wither. The resilience we never test begins to fade. We become soft in the places where we should be strong, fragile in the moments when we need to be firm. A life without challenge is not a life of peace, it is a life of slow decay. True strength is carved by challenge, hammered in adversity, and polished by setbacks. This is the ancient truth that every forge and every battlefield has taught since the beginning of time. The blade that never meets the fire remains dull. The stone that never faces the chisel remains shapeless. We are no different. We are not made strong by what we avoid. We are made strong by what we endure. This morning, whisper to yourself, every challenge I face will make me stronger. Let this truth settle into your bones before the day begins. Let it become the lens through which you see every obstacle that rises before you. The difficulties ahead are not punishments. They are not evidence that life is cruel or that fate has turned against you. They are invitations to become more than you were yesterday. Each difficulty is a silent teacher, each hardship a forge. The lesson may not be obvious in the moment. The heat may feel unbearable when you stand in the center of it. But the teacher is there, waiting for you to learn. The forge is doing its work, burning away what is weak, tempering what remains. You may not see the transformation while it is happening. You may only feel the pain, the pressure, the relentless demand to keep going. But trust the process. Trust that what emerges from the fire will be harder, purer, more unbreakable than what went in. The mountain is not my enemy. It is my training ground. When you stand at the base and look up at the impossible height, do not curse the climb. Do not wish the mountain away. The mountain is exactly what you need. Every step upward strengthens your legs. Every moment of breathless effort expands your lungs. Every time you slip and recover, you learn balance. Every time you want to quit but keep moving, you build the will that cannot be broken. When the world offers resistance, I welcome it, not because I love pain, but because I love growth. This is the crucial distinction. We do not seek suffering for its own sake. We do not glorify hardship as if pain itself were the goal. But we recognize what pain can produce when met with the right spirit. We understand that resistance is the very thing that makes us stronger. The weight that presses down on us is the same weight that builds our capacity to carry more. Muscles only grow when tested. The same is true of spirit. A muscle that is never pushed beyond its comfort remains small, weak, incapable of the great efforts life will eventually demand. But when we push against the limit, when we strain against what feels impossible, the fibers tear and rebuild themselves stronger than before. The spirit follows the same law. Every time we face what frightens us and do not run, the spirit grows. Every time we endure what we thought we could not bear, the spirit expands. We become capable of more because we have survived more. So, greet today's obstacles as allies in disguise. Do not meet them with resentment. Do not waste your energy wishing they had not come. They are here, they are real. And hidden within them is exactly what you need to become the person you are meant to be. The obstacle that looks like an enemy is often the greatest friend you will ever have. It forces you to dig deeper. It demands that you find resources within yourself that comfort would never have revealed. Let them break the weak parts so that only the iron remains. There are parts of us that need to be broken. There are illusions that need to shatter. There are fears that need to be faced and found to be hollow. The challenge does this work for us. It strips away what cannot stand, what was never truly strong, what was only pretending to be solid. And when the breaking is done, what remains is real. What remains is iron unbending, enduring, tested and proven. As I endure, I am transformed. This is the promise hidden in every hardship. You will not be the same person on the other side. The struggle changes you. The resistance reshapes you. Every moment of endurance writes itself into your character, into the very fiber of who you are. You are being made into something greater than you were. The transformation is not painless, but it is real. And what you become through endurance is something that ease could never have created. Challenges do not defeat me. They reveal what I am made of. This is the final truth to carry with you into whatever this day brings. The challenge is not the verdict on your worth. It is the mirror that shows you your true nature. When the pressure comes, you will discover what lives at your core. You will see whether you are made of sand or stone. And if you meet the challenge with courage, with persistence, with the quiet refusal to break, you will find that you are made of something far stronger than you ever knew. The challenge does not write your story. Your response does. And today, your response will prove that you are unbreakable. I control what I can. We live surrounded by countless things beyond our command: weather, fate, the moods of others, the turning of fortune's wheel. These forces move according to their own laws, indifferent to our wishes, deaf to our protests. The storm does not ask permission before it arrives. The economy does not pause to consider our plans. The hearts of others beat to rhythms we cannot set and cannot change. We stand in the middle of a vast ocean of circumstances, and the waves rise and fall without consulting us. This is the truth that humbles every human being who has ever lived. We are not the masters of the universe. We are not the captains of every ship that sails. So much of what shapes our days comes from sources we did not choose and cannot alter. The traffic that delays us, the illness that strikes without warning, the decisions made in distant rooms by people we will never meet, the moods that sweep through those we love, casting shadows we did not create. But within all this chaos, there is one kingdom where our will reigns supreme: ourselves. This is the territory that belongs to us alone. No external force can enter here without our permission. No storm can shake the foundations unless we allow it. Within the walls of our own being, we are sovereign. We decide what thoughts to entertain. We choose what words to speak. We determine how we will stand when everything around us trembles. Every morning, remind yourself, I will not waste energy on what I cannot shape. This is the discipline that separates the wise from the foolish, the peaceful from the perpetually agitated. So many people exhaust themselves fighting battles that cannot be won, pushing against doors that will never open, demanding that the world rearrange itself according to their preferences. They rage at traffic. They fume at weather. They spend their precious strength trying to control the uncontrollable, and they arrive at the end of each day depleted, frustrated, and no closer to peace. My power lies in what I choose, in what I say and do, in how I carry myself. This is where my energy belongs. This is the ground where my efforts bear fruit. I cannot choose whether difficulties come, but I can choose how I meet them. I cannot control whether others are kind or cruel, but I can control whether I respond with dignity or despair. Every moment offers me this choice, and in this choice lives all the power I truly need. If the world shakes, I will not shake with it. Let the ground tremble. Let the structures that seem so solid reveal their fragility. Let the news bring chaos and the markets bring uncertainty. I am not built upon the shifting sands of external circumstance. My foundation is deeper. My roots reach into something that does not move when the surface is disturbed. The world may shake, but I will remain steady in my center, anchored to principles that do not bend with every wind. If others are lost in anger, I will stay rooted. The emotions of those around us can be contagious. Panic spreads, frustration multiplies. Anger leaps from heart to heart like fire through dry grass. But I do not have to catch what others throw. I do not have to mirror every mood I encounter. When others lose themselves in rage or fear, I can remain planted in my own soil, drawing strength from my own depths. Their storm does not have to become my storm. There is freedom in letting go of the need to control the uncontrollable. This is not weakness, it is the deepest wisdom. The moment we release our grip on what was never ours to hold, something remarkable happens. The tension leaves our shoulders. The anxiety loosens its hold on our chest. We stop fighting phantoms and start engaging with reality. We stop exhausting ourselves in futile struggles and start directing our strength where it can actually make a difference. I will focus my energy where it matters on my actions, my attitude, my work. These are the domains where I have true authority. My actions are mine to shape. I can choose integrity over compromise, courage over comfort, persistence over surrender. My attitude is mine to cultivate. I can choose to see opportunity in difficulty, to find meaning in struggle, to maintain hope when circumstances counsel despair. My work is mine to offer. I can bring excellence to my tasks, care to my craft, dedication to my purpose. In these arenas, my will is not helpless. In these arenas, I am truly in command. Today, let me be a master of my own world, not a servant to things that do not answer to me. There is a profound difference between these two ways of living. The servant to external forces is forever anxious, forever reactive, forever at the mercy of things beyond their reach. The master of their own world moves with purpose and peace, knowing exactly where their power lies and refusing to waste it on what lies beyond. This is not surrender, it is strategy. Some may mistake this approach for passivity, for giving up, for accepting defeat. They are wrong. This is the wisest form of engagement with life. This is the recognition that our resources are finite and precious, and they must be invested where they can yield returns. We do not surrender to the chaos, we simply stop pretending we can control it. We do not give up the fight, we choose our battles with wisdom. We conserve our strength for the struggles that matter, for the ground we can actually hold. In this, I find strength. This is the paradox that transforms everything. By letting go of false control, we discover true power. By accepting what we cannot change, we gain the freedom to change what we can. By narrowing our focus to our own kingdom, we find that kingdom expanding in ways we never expected. The strength that comes from this wisdom is not brittle or anxious. It is calm, deep, and enduring. It does not depend on circumstances bending to our will. It depends only on our will being directed where it belongs. Today, I step forward knowing exactly where my power lies. I will not scatter it on the winds of what I cannot control. I will plant it firmly in the soil of my own choices, my own responses, my own way of being. And in this focused, intentional living, I will find a strength that nothing external can take from me. My mind is my fortress. The world is filled with noise, fear, and temptation. From the moment we wake until the moment we close our eyes, we are surrounded by voices competing for our attention, by messages designed to disturb our peace, by influences that seek to shape us according to purposes that are not our own. The noise never stops. It pours through screens and speakers. It arrives in the words of others, in the headlines that scream for our worry, in the endless stream of information that floods every waking hour. Fear walks the streets of our days, whispering warnings about what might go wrong, about what we might lose, about all the dangers that lurk just beyond our sight. Temptation calls to us in 1,000 forms, pulling us toward distractions, toward escapes, toward anything that promises relief from the weight of being fully present in our lives. If you leave the gates of your mind unguarded, anything can wander in and rule you. This is the danger that most people never recognize. They live with their gates thrown wide open, welcoming every thought that passes, hosting every fear that knocks, giving shelter to every doubt that seeks a home. They do not realize that their mind has become occupied territory. They do not see that they are no longer the masters of their own inner world. Thoughts they did not choose dictate their moods. Fears they did not invite control their decisions. Words spoken by others, sometimes years ago, still echo in their halls, still shape their sense of who they are. This is what happens when the gates are left unguarded. The fortress falls without a battle, not to a mighty army, but to the slow accumulation of whatever wandered in. But your mind can also be a fortress, impenetrable, silent, unassailable. This is the other possibility, the one that requires intention and discipline, the one that few ever fully realize. The same mind that can become a chaotic marketplace can become a place of profound stillness. The same inner world that can be overrun by invaders can become a stronghold where peace reigns undisturbed. The walls can be built, the gates can be manned, the territory can be reclaimed and defended. Your mind does not have to remain at the mercy of whatever forces seek to enter. It can become the one place in all the world where you are truly safe, truly sovereign, truly free. Each morning, tell yourself, my mind is not open ground for every passing thought, every doubt, every cruel word. Open ground is vulnerable. Open ground belongs to whoever claims it. But my mind is not open ground. It is not public territory where anyone may walk and leave their mark. It is a private kingdom. It is sacred space. It is the one place that belongs entirely to me, the one territory where my authority is absolute. It is a stronghold. I choose what enters and what stays. This is the power that transforms everything, the ability to choose, the authority to permit or deny entry, the right to examine every thought at the gate and ask, do you serve me? Do you strengthen me? Do you belong in these walls? Not every thought that arrives deserves residence. Not every fear that knocks deserves an answer. Not every doubt that presents itself deserves a seat at my table. I am the gatekeeper. I am the one who decides. When negativity knocks, I will not invite it to dine. It will come. Of this, there is no doubt. Negativity is persistent. It arrives in familiar forms, the memory of a failure, the anticipation of rejection, the voice that says, you are not enough. It knocks with confidence, expecting to be welcomed, expecting the gates to swing open as they always have, but not anymore. When negativity knocks, I will acknowledge its presence, but I will not open the door. I will not set a place for it at my table. I will not let it sit beside me and poison my meal with its bitter commentary. It can stand outside the walls. It can knock until its knuckles are raw, but it will not dine with me. When fear claws at the walls, I will not open the door. Fear is more aggressive than negativity. It does not merely knock, it claws. It scratches. It howls in the night, demanding attention, insisting that it must be heard. Fear tells us that to ignore it is dangerous, that its warnings are essential, that we must let it in or suffer terrible consequences. But most of what fear promises never comes to pass. Most of what fear demands we surrender is surrendered for nothing. When fear claws at my walls, I will stand firm. The walls were built for exactly this moment. The gates were reinforced for exactly this assault. I will not open the door simply because something on the other side is loud and insistent. Instead, I will fill my mind with what serves me, clear goals, calm thoughts, quiet strength. The fortress cannot remain empty. A defended space must be filled with what belongs there, or the vacuum will draw in what does not. So I will be intentional about what occupies my inner world. Clear goals will live here, purposes that give direction, ambitions that call me forward, visions of who I am becoming. Calm thoughts will reside in these halls, reflections that bring peace, perspectives that restore balance, wisdom that has been tested and proven true. Quiet strength will guard these walls, not the loud strength that needs to announce itself, but the deep strength that knows what it is and does not need validation. Let others be overrun by outside voices. That is their choice, their path, their consequence to bear. Let them give their minds away to every influence that seeks entry. Let them be shaped by forces they never chose and cannot name. Let them wonder why they feel so scattered, so anxious, so unlike themselves. I will not follow them down that road. I will be a fortress. In a world that seeks to invade and occupy every mind it can reach, I will be the exception. I will be the place where the noise stops, where the fear cannot enter, where the chaos of the outside world breaks against walls it cannot breach. This is not isolation. This is not closing myself off from life. This is the necessary protection that allows me to engage with the world from a place of strength rather than weakness, from a position of choice rather than reaction. My mind is my home, and I decide what lives here. This is the final truth, the foundation upon which the fortress stands. Home is not a place we leave open to strangers. Home is where we choose what enters. Home is where we cultivate what we love and remove what does not belong. My mind is my home. It is the most intimate space I will ever inhabit, and I will treat it with the care and protection it deserves. I will decide what thoughts take up residence. I will choose what beliefs are welcome to stay. I will guard this home with vigilance and tend it with intention. Today, I strengthen the walls. Today, I man the gates. Today, I reclaim sovereignty over the only territory that was ever truly mine. My mind is my fortress, and no force on earth can enter without my consent. Setbacks are lessons. Failure stings. There is no pretending otherwise. There is no philosophy that can completely remove the sharp pain of falling short, of reaching for something and watching it slip through your fingers, of giving your best and discovering that your best was not enough. The sting is real. It cuts into our pride. It wounds our confidence. It leaves us wondering if we were foolish to have tried at all. Rejection burns. When we offer ourselves our work, our ideas, our hearts, and receive a no in return, something inside us feels scorched. The burn spreads through our thoughts, questioning our worth, replaying the moment of refusal, searching for what we did wrong. Rejection tells us we were not wanted, not chosen, not valued in the way we hoped to be. And that message, whether whispered or shouted, leaves marks that take time to heal. Loss makes us want to hide from the world. When something precious is taken from us, a relationship, an opportunity, a dream we had nurtured, the instinct is to retreat. The world feels too bright, too demanding, too indifferent to our pain. We want to close the door and sit in the darkness, nursing our wounds, protected from any further harm. Loss hollows us out and leaves us wondering how we will ever feel whole again. But every setback is also a messenger, carrying a lesson meant only for us. This is the truth that hides behind the pain. This is the gift, wrapped in the terrible packaging. The failure that stings so deeply has something to teach us. The rejection that burns carries information we need. The loss that makes us want to hide is also pointing us towards something we must understand. The messenger does not arrive in comfort. The messenger arrives in difficulty. But the message is real, and it is meant for our ears alone. This morning, remind yourself, when I stumble, I do not fall into despair. The stumble is not the end of the story. The stumble is a moment in the middle of a much longer journey. Despair is what happens when we mistake the stumble for the conclusion, when we believe that falling means we cannot rise again. But stumbling is not falling forever. It is losing balance temporarily. It is the body correcting itself. It is the necessary wobble that teaches us how to walk with greater steadiness. I pause, I look, I learn. This is the discipline that transforms setbacks from wounds into wisdom. The pause comes first, the refusal to react immediately, the willingness to let the initial sting subside before making judgments. Then comes the looking, the honest examination of what happened, the courage to see clearly without flinching. And finally comes the learning, the extraction of the lesson, the integration of the insight, the transformation of pain into knowledge that serves us going forward. Each setback is a signal, not a sentence. This distinction changes everything. A sentence is final. A sentence is a verdict from which there is no appeal. A sentence locks us into a fate we did not choose and cannot escape. But a signal is different. A signal is information. A signal is communication. A signal tells us something we need to know so that we can adjust our course, refine our approach, improve our strategy. The setback is not declaring who we are forever. It is showing us where we are right now. It tells me where I must grow, what I must repair, what I must release. The signal is specific if we are willing to listen. Perhaps it reveals a skill that needs development, an area where our abilities have not yet caught up with our ambitions. Perhaps it points to something broken, a pattern that no longer serves us, a belief that undermines our efforts, a habit that sabotages our success. Perhaps it shows us something we must let go, a goal that was never truly ours, an expectation that was never realistic, an attachment that keeps us tied to a past we have outgrown. The setback speaks, and if we listen without defensiveness, we will hear exactly what it has to say. Most people take failure as a reason to quit. This is the common response, the path of least resistance, the easy interpretation that requires no courage and no growth. They try once, they fail, and they conclude that the endeavor was not meant for them. They reach for something, they fall short, and they decide that reaching itself was the mistake. They let the pain of the setback become the final word, the closing chapter, the reason to never try again. And in doing so, they guarantee that the failure remains permanent. We will take it as a reason to adapt. This is the path that leads somewhere. This is the response that transforms the setback into a stepping stone rather than a gravestone. Adaptation is not surrender. Adaptation is evolution. It is the recognition that the first approach did not work, and the wisdom to try a different way. It is the flexibility that allows us to bend without breaking, to absorb the impact, and emerge with a new strategy. When failure comes, we do not quit, we adjust. We do not abandon the goal, we find another path toward it. Each lesson makes us sharper, wiser, harder to defeat. This is the accumulation that happens when we treat setbacks as teachers rather than executioners. Each failure that we examine and learn from adds something to our arsenal. We become sharper, our skills more refined, our judgment more accurate, our instincts more reliable. We become wiser, our understanding deeper, our perspective broader, our decisions more informed by experience. We become harder to defeat not because we avoid setbacks, but because each setback has made us more capable of handling the next one. The very things that were meant to destroy us become the raw materials of our strength. When you look back on your hardest moments, you will see they were the soil in which your strength took root. Time has a way of revealing what was hidden in the difficulty. The moment that felt like devastation becomes, in retrospect, the turning point. The failure that seemed to end everything becomes the beginning of something better. The rejection that burned so deeply becomes the redirection toward where we truly belonged. The soil was dark, the soil was uncomfortable, but it was exactly what our roots needed to grow deep and strong. Setbacks do not end us, they refine us. Refining is not a gentle process. It involves heat, it involves pressure, it involves the removal of what does not belong. The gold is not destroyed by the fire, it is purified by it. The impurities are burned away, and what remains is purer, more valuable, more truly what it was always meant to be. We are not ended by our setbacks, we are refined by them. The parts of us that could not withstand the heat fall away. The parts of us that are genuine, that are strong, that are essential, those remain. And those parts shine brighter than they ever could have without the fire. Today, I will meet whatever setbacks come with the knowledge that they carry lessons I need. I will not flinch from the sting. I will not hide from the burn. I will not retreat into despair when loss makes me want to close the door on the world. I will pause. I will look. I will learn. I will treat every failure as a signal pointing me toward growth. I will adapt when others quit. I will gather the lessons like precious stones, knowing that each one makes me sharper, wiser, harder to defeat. And years from now, when I look back at these moments that felt so difficult, I will see them for what they truly were, not the end of the story, but the soil from which my deepest strength grew. Let go of what's not mine. We are taught to carry burdens that are not ours, other people's anger, past regrets, worries about things that may never come to pass. From our earliest days, we learn to pick up weights that do not belong to us. We absorb the frustrations of those around us, taking their moods into our own hearts as if we were responsible for their happiness. We inherit regrets from years gone by, dragging the corpses of old mistakes behind us long after the lessons have been learned and the debts have been paid. We reach into an uncertain future and pull back armfuls of worry about events that exist only in our imagination, about catastrophes that may never arrive, about problems we may never have to solve. No one teaches us to question these burdens. No one shows us how to examine what we carry and ask, is this mine? Does this belong to me? Should I be bearing this weight at all? Instead, we are praised for our willingness to shoulder more, admired for our capacity to endure, encouraged to keep adding to the load. The world hands us its troubles, and we accept them without question, believing that this is what good people do, that this is what strong people do, that refusing to carry would be selfish or weak. Over time, these weights bend our backs and break our spirit. The burden that seemed manageable at first grows heavier with each passing year. The resentment we picked up in our youth calcifies into something hard and permanent. The guilt we accepted for things we did not cause becomes a constant companion, whispering accusations in quiet moments. The worries multiply, breeding new worries, until our minds are crowded with fears about every conceivable tomorrow. We wonder why we are so tired. We cannot understand why life feels so heavy. We do not realize that we are exhausted not by our own journey, but by the cargo we were never meant to carry. Today, tell yourself, I will carry only what belongs to me. This is the declaration that begins the unburdening. This is the first step toward freedom. What belongs to me? My own choices, my own actions, my own growth, my own responsibilities that I have freely accepted. These are mine to carry, and I carry them willingly. But the anger that lives in someone else's heart, that is not mine. The disappointment that someone else feels about their own life, that is not mine. The expectations that others have placed upon me without my consent, those are not mine to bear. You do not need it. This is the simple truth that changes everything. All these weights you have carried, you do not need them. They have not made you stronger. They have not made you wiser. They have only made you tired. They have only slowed your pace. They have only stolen energy that could have been spent on your own journey, your own growth, your own life. You do not need to carry other people's anger to prove you care. You do not need to drag old regrets behind you to show you have learned. You do not need to shoulder impossible worries to demonstrate you are responsible. The lighter you walk, the further you go. This is the physics of the spirit. Every unnecessary weight you release adds distance to your journey. Every burden you set down adds strength to your step. The travelers who go furthest are not the ones who carry the most. They are the ones who have learned what to leave behind. They move through the world unbent, unbroken, free to respond to what actually lies before them, rather than exhausted by what they have carried from the past or borrowed from the future. Let go of what you cannot change, of what is not your fault, of what does not help you become who you want to be. These are the 3 tests for every burden. Can I change it? If not, why carry it? Is it my fault? If not, why accept the guilt? Does it help me become who I want to be? If not, why give it space in my life? Apply these questions honestly, and you will find that much of what you carry fails every test. It cannot be changed. It is not your fault. It does not serve your growth. And yet you have borne it faithfully, obediently, as if letting go would be a betrayal. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. The world may misunderstand. Others may accuse you of being cold, of being careless, of abandoning responsibilities. Let them think what they will. They do not live in your body. They do not bear the weight that is pressed upon your shoulders. They do not feel the exhaustion that has accumulated in your bones. You know the truth. Releasing what is not yours is not a failure of character, it is a triumph of clarity. It is the recognition that your strength is precious and must be invested where it matters, not squandered on burdens that were never meant to be yours. Today, I choose freedom. This is the choice that waits for you each morning. It is always available. It is always within reach. The burdens may have felt permanent, but they are not. The weights may have seemed welded to your shoulders, but they are not. You can choose, in this very moment, to set them down. You can choose, before this day unfolds, to walk forward unburdened by what does not belong to you. I travel lighter, farther, higher. This is the promise that follows the unburdening. When you release the weights that were never yours, you discover a capacity for movement you had forgotten existed. You travel lighter, each step easier, each mile less taxing, each day less draining. You travel farther, able to cover distances that seemed impossible when you were bent beneath unnecessary loads. You travel higher, able to climb toward aspirations that were unreachable when all your strength was spent on carrying what should have been left behind. Today, I examine what I carry. I question every weight. I ask, is this mine? And where the answer is no, I lay it down at the side of the road. I walk on without it. I choose freedom. I choose the open road. I choose to travel lighter, farther, higher than I ever could, while bent beneath burdens that were never meant for my shoulders. Peace comes from within. The world is restless. It moves in perpetual agitation, churning with ambition and anxiety, never settling into stillness. Watch it closely, and you will see there is no pause in its demands, no moment when it declares that enough has been achieved, that the striving can finally stop. The world is restless because it does not know how to be otherwise. Motion is its nature. Hunger is its heartbeat. It spins and grasps and reaches, and it invites us to spin and grasp and reach alongside it. It promises peace, but only after you chase every dream, fix every problem, win every argument. This is the bargain the world offers, and it sounds so reasonable at first. Just accomplish this one thing, and then you will rest. Just solve this one difficulty, and then you will be calm. Just prove yourself in this one arena, and then you will be free from the need to prove anything ever again. But the promise is a lie dressed in reasonable clothing. The dream, once chased and caught, reveals another dream behind it. The problem, once fixed, uncovers three more that were hiding beneath. The argument, once won, leads only to the next argument, and the next, and the next. The finish line keeps moving. The peace keeps receding. And we keep chasing, exhausted and confused, wondering why what was promised never arrives. But lasting peace does not come from outside rewards, it comes from within. This is the truth that the restless world does not want us to discover. External rewards can bring pleasure. They can bring satisfaction. They can bring the temporary relief of a goal achieved or a desire fulfilled. But they cannot bring lasting peace. The pleasure fades. The satisfaction dims. The relief gives way to a new restlessness, a new hunger, a new chase. Lasting peace, the kind that endures through changing circumstances, that remains steady when the external world shifts and shakes. This peace has only one source. It lives within us. It is cultivated in the interior landscape. It does not depend on what we have accomplished or acquired. It depends only on what we have built in the quiet spaces of our own being. Remind yourself, my peace is not a gift the world can give or take. This is the foundation upon which everything else is built. If peace were a gift from the world, we would be forever at the world's mercy. We would have to wait for favorable conditions. We would have to hope that circumstances aligned in our favor. We would have to depend on other people behaving as we wish, on events unfolding as we prefer, on fortune smiling upon our efforts. But peace is not a gift the world can give, and because the world did not give it, the world cannot take it away. No change in circumstance can steal what was never dependent on circumstance. No loss can remove what was never located in what we possessed. It is built day by day in the quiet corners of my own mind. Peace is not found, it is constructed. It is not discovered lying somewhere, waiting to be picked up. It is assembled through intention, through practice, through the patient work of returning, again and again, to the inner stillness that exists beneath the noise. Day by day, the building continues. Each morning offers another opportunity to add to the structure. Each moment of chosen calm is another stone in the foundation. The quiet corners of the mind become stronger, more established, more reliable. What began as a fragile shelter becomes, over time, an unshakable dwelling place. When disappointment knocks, I will answer with calm. Disappointment is a more subtle visitor than chaos. It does not howl, it knocks. It arrives when expectations meet reality, and reality falls short. It comes when we hoped for one thing and received another. Disappointment wants us to collapse into discouragement, to question our worth, to believe that the gap between what we wanted and what we got reveals something broken in us or in the world. But we can answer differently. When disappointment knocks, we can open the door with calm rather than despair. We can acknowledge what has happened without being destroyed by it. We can feel the weight of unmet expectations without letting that weight crush our peace. My peace is the deep water, untouched by surface storms. This is the image to hold in the mind. The surface of the ocean can be whipped into fury by the wind. Waves can crash and foam and churn in violent agitation, but descend below the surface and the water grows still. Go deep enough and the storms above become irrelevant. The deep water does not participate in the chaos of the surface. It remains calm, dark, undisturbed. Our peace can be like this deep water. The storms may rage on the surface of our lives, the crises, the disappointments, the endless demands of the restless world. But if our peace is rooted deep enough, those surface storms cannot reach it. We remain untouched in the depths, even as the world above churns with its restless motion. If I lose everything outside, I will still have my center. This is the test of true peace. Strip away the possessions, remove the status, take the accomplishments, the relationships, the external markers of success. When all of that is gone, what remains? If our peace was built on those external things, it collapses with them. But if our peace was built within, it stands even when everything outside has fallen. The center holds. The foundation remains. We can lose everything the world gave us and still possess the one thing that truly matters, the calm, stable, unshakable core that we built with our own intention in the quiet corners of our own mind. I do not need permission to be calm. This is a freedom that many never claim. They wait for the right conditions. They postpone their peace until the circumstances allow it. They tell themselves they will be calm when the problems are solved, when the conflicts are resolved, when the world finally settles into the arrangement they desire. But peace does not require permission from circumstance. We can choose calm in the middle of chaos. We can cultivate stillness even as the world screams for our agitation. No external authority must grant us the right to be at peace. The permission comes from within, just as the peace itself comes from within. I build my peace with my own hands, and nothing can break it unless I surrender it. This is the final truth to carry into each day. The peace we possess is our own construction. We laid the foundation. We raised the walls. We tended the stillness in the quiet corners. And because we built it, we know its strength. We know that it does not depend on the world's cooperation. We know that it cannot be broken by external force. The only way it falls is if we surrender it, if we abandon the center, if we stop doing the daily work of building, if we hand over the keys to those who would disturb our calm. Small wins matter most. Great victories are built on small, invisible battles. This is the secret that champions understand and that the world rarely teaches. We see the moment of triumph, the medal placed around the neck, the summit reached after the long climb, the breakthrough that changes everything. But we do not see the 10,000 mornings that made that moment possible. We do not witness the countless small decisions, the quiet disciplines, the invisible battles won when no one was watching and no applause was offered. The great victory that captures attention is only the visible peak of a mountain whose base is made entirely of small, unseen stones. Most people look only for big wins, never realizing that progress lives in the quiet, daily choices. They scan the horizon for dramatic transformation. They wait for the single moment that will change everything, the lottery ticket of life that will finally deliver them from ordinary existence into something remarkable. And while they wait, they dismiss the small opportunities that pass them by every hour. They step over the daily choices as if they were worthless pebbles, not recognizing that these pebbles, gathered and stacked with patience, become the very foundation upon which any meaningful life is built. Progress does not announce itself with trumpets. It arrives quietly, in the choice made at dawn, in the task completed without fanfare, in the commitment kept when no one would have known if it had been broken. Let others chase grand gestures. Let them wait for the dramatic moment, the public recognition, the achievement that can be framed and displayed for all to admire. Let them measure their lives by milestones that come rarely, that depend on circumstances beyond their control, that may never arrive no matter how desperately they are desired. That is their path. It does not have to be ours. I will collect quiet victories. This is the different path, the one that does not depend on the world's cooperation, the one that accumulates power without announcement. Every day offers opportunities for quiet victories. They do not seek attention. They do not demand recognition. They simply wait to be claimed by anyone willing to notice them and act. I will be the one who notices. I will be the one who claims them. I will gather these quiet victories like a miser gathers coins, knowing that what seems insignificant in isolation becomes substantial in accumulation. I will make my bed, hold my tongue, push through when it would be easier to quit. These are not the victories that make headlines. No one will write stories about the bed that was made, about the sharp word that was swallowed, about the extra effort that was given when giving up would have been so much easier. But these victories are the truest measure of who we are becoming. Making the bed is a small act of order imposed upon chaos, a declaration that I will not let entropy win the first battle of the day. Holding the tongue is a victory over impulse, a demonstration that I am more than my immediate reactions, that I can choose restraint when provocation invites explosion. Pushing through when quitting would be easier is the forge in which endurance is shaped. It is the small fire that tempers the spirit. Each time I push through, I prove to myself that difficulty does not define my limits. Each small act is proof that I am moving forward. This is what the small wins provide evidence. When progress is invisible, when the goal still seems distant, when the voice of doubt asks whether any of this effort matters, the small wins answer. They are proof. They are receipts for the work done. They are markers on the trail showing how far we have come. I may not see the destination yet. I may not feel dramatically different from who I was yesterday, but the small acts accumulate their testimony. They whisper, "You are moving forward. You are not standing still." The progress is real, even if it is not yet visible to the naked eye. In time, these tiny triumphs become habits. This is the alchemy that transforms small wins into something far more powerful than themselves. The victory that required effort today becomes easier tomorrow. The discipline that demanded attention becomes automatic. What was once a struggle becomes simply what we do. The tiny triumph, repeated enough times, inscribes itself into our routine, into our muscle memory, into the unconscious patterns that govern our days. We no longer have to win these battles consciously. We have won them so many times that winning has become our default. Habits become character. Here the transformation deepens. Habits are what we do. Character is who we are. When the habits have been practiced long enough, they stop being behaviors and start being identity. The person who rises early 1,000 times does not just have a habit of rising early, they have become an early riser. The person who finishes what they start does not just have a habit of completion, they have become someone who sees things through. The small wins, through the medium of habit, reshape the very substance of who we are. They rewrite our internal story. They build a self that we can trust and respect. Character becomes destiny. This is the final step in the chain that begins with the smallest of victories. The character that has been built through habit determines how we respond to the great tests when they come. It shapes the decisions we make at crossroads. It governs whether we rise or fall when circumstances demand everything we have. Destiny is not random. It is not imposed from outside. It is the natural consequence of the character we have constructed through 10,000 small choices. The person who has won the small battles is ready for the large ones. The person who has stacked quiet victories is prepared for the moment when everything depends on who they have become. Greatness is not born in noise, but in the silent stacking of small wins. The world celebrates noise. It amplifies the dramatic. It points its cameras at the explosive moment and ignores the years of quiet preparation that made that moment possible. But those who understand how greatness is actually built know better. They know that the foundation is laid in silence. They know that the decisive work happens when no one is watching. They know that the person who stacks small wins, day after day, month after month, year after year, is building something that the noise seekers will never possess. I stand tall in uncertainty. Life offers no guarantees. This is the truth that greets us from our first breath and follows us to our last. No contract has been signed promising us safety. No agreement has been made ensuring that tomorrow will resemble today. We walk through our days believing in the solidity of what surrounds us, trusting in the continuation of what we know, assuming that the ground beneath our feet will remain firm. But life has made no such promises. It owes us nothing. It has guaranteed us nothing. We exist in a universe that offers beauty and terror in equal measure, and neither comes with warning or explanation. Each day arrives wrapped in fog, carrying surprises both cruel and kind. We cannot see what waits beyond the next hour, the next conversation, the next turn in the road. The fog does not lift simply because we wish it would. It does not part to reveal the path simply because we are eager to know where we are going. Each morning emerges from darkness, carrying its hidden cargo. Some of it will delight us, some of it will wound us, and we will not know which until it arrives. The cruel surprises do not announce themselves. They strike without courtesy, without preparation time, without the chance to brace ourselves. The kind surprises come equally unannounced, gifts we did not expect and could not have predicted. This is the nature of the days we are given. Most people shrink before the unknown. Watch them carefully, and you will see it, the hesitation in their step, the worry in their eyes, the constant reaching for certainty that will never come. They shrink because the unknown feels like threat. They contract because the fog feels like danger. They spend their energy trying to control what cannot be controlled, trying to predict what cannot be predicted, trying to eliminate the uncertainty that is woven into the very fabric of existence. And in their shrinking, they make themselves smaller than the life they could be living. But we are not most people. This is the declaration that separates one kind of life from another. We see the same fog. We face the same uncertainty. We receive the same mixture of cruel and kind surprises. But we do not shrink. We do not contract. We do not spend our strength fighting the unfightable battle against the unknown. We stand in the fog with our shoulders back and our eyes forward, accepting what others refuse to accept, that uncertainty is not a flaw in existence to be eliminated, but a condition of existence to be embraced. Every morning, remind yourself, I will not bow to uncertainty. The temptation to bow is real. It whispers that if we make ourselves small enough, perhaps the unknown will pass over us. It suggests that if we just wait a little longer, perhaps the fog will clear. It promises that bowing is wisdom, that shrinking is safety, that the uncertain world rewards those who cower before it. But these are lies. Bowing to uncertainty does not protect us from it. It only guarantees that when the surprises come cruel or kind, we will meet them from a position of weakness rather than strength. I will stand tall. This is the posture of the one who has accepted reality as it is. Standing tall is not arrogance. It is not the foolish belief that we are immune to what life can deliver. It is the quiet recognition that our response to uncertainty is the one thing we can choose, and we choose to respond with dignity. We stand tall not because we are certain of the outcome, but because standing tall is who we have decided to be, regardless of outcome. The spine straightens, the chin lifts, the eyes look forward into the fog without flinching. This is how we meet the unknown. Uncertainty is not the enemy, it is the proving ground. This is the transformation of perspective that changes everything. What we thought was our obstacle is actually our arena. What we feared was our destruction is actually our development. Uncertainty does not exist to defeat us, it exists to reveal what we are made of. The proving ground does not test us with what is easy and clear. It tests us with what is hard and obscure. Every moment of uncertainty is an opportunity to prove our resolve, to demonstrate our courage, to show ourselves and the world that we are not among those who shrink. The proving ground is where character is forged. We should be grateful for it, not resentful of it. Each unknown is a door. Behind it lies something we cannot see from where we stand. It may be challenge. It may be opportunity. It may be the very thing we have been searching for, or the very thing we have been dreading. We cannot know until we open it. We cannot discover until we step through. The unknown is not a wall blocking our path. It is a door inviting us forward. And doors exist to be opened by those with the courage to turn the handle. I will walk through it, not because I know what lies beyond, but because I trust my own strength. This is the faith that carries us through uncertainty, not faith in outcomes, not faith in favorable circumstances, not faith that life will treat us gently, faith in ourselves, faith in our capacity to handle what we cannot predict. Faith that whatever waits on the other side of the door, we have within us what is needed to meet it. We do not need to know what lies beyond. We only need to know what lies within. And what lies within is strength that has been tested, resolve that has been proven, a spirit that has learned to stand tall in the fog. Whatever comes, I will meet it on my feet, not my knees. This is the final promise we make to ourselves each morning. The surprises will come cruel and kind, wrapped in their fog of unpredictability. We cannot control what they will be. We cannot choose when they will arrive, but we can choose how we will be standing when they reach us. We will be on our feet. We will be upright. We will be facing forward with our strength gathered and our resolve intact. We will not be found on our knees, begging the universe for mercy, hoping that smallness will protect us from what life delivers. Today, I stand tall in uncertainty. The fog is thick, and the path is obscured. I do not know what this day carries or what tomorrow will bring, but I know this: I will not shrink. I will not bow. I will take the next step when others freeze. I will move when others wait for clarity that will never come. I will walk through every door the unknown presents, trusting not in what lies beyond, but in the strength that lives within me. Whatever comes, I will meet it standing. This is my promise to myself. This is how I face the fog. This is how I live in a world that offers no guarantees. Patience is power. In a world that worships speed and demands instant results, patience is a forgotten strength. Look around and you will see the evidence everywhere: the celebration of overnight success, the glorification of rapid transformation, the constant pressure to achieve more in less time. We have built a culture that measures worth in velocity. We have created systems that reward the quick and dismiss the steady. Speed has become our god, and we sacrifice at its altar without questioning whether the sacrifice is wise. In this relentless rush toward immediate gratification, we have forgotten one of the most ancient and powerful virtues available to the human spirit. Patience is not valued because it is not visible. It does not announce itself with fanfare. It does not photograph well. It does not generate headlines or viral moments. In a world obsessed with what can be seen and measured and celebrated instantly, patience works in silence, in shadows, in the long stretches of time that no one wants to watch. And so it has been pushed aside, dismissed as the refuge of those too slow to compete, too weak to push harder, too lacking in ambition to demand immediate returns. This is the great misunderstanding of our age. Most give up when rewards do not come quickly. They plant seeds but will not wait for the harvest. Watch how people begin their endeavors with enthusiasm, with energy, with the bright flame of new commitment. They plant seeds in the ground with great ceremony. They announce their intentions. They begin the work with vigor. But then the days pass. The weeks pass. The ground looks the same. No green shoots emerge. No signs of progress break through the soil. And slowly, imperceptibly, the enthusiasm dims. The energy fades. The bright flame gutters and dies. They walk away from the field they planted, convinced that the seeds were bad, that the soil was wrong, that the endeavor was not meant for them. They never know that the harvest was coming. They never see what would have emerged if only they had waited. This is the tragedy that patience could prevent. The seeds were good, the soil was fertile, the growth was happening beneath the surface, invisible to impatient eyes. Roots were spreading in the darkness. Strength was being gathered for the push toward light. But the one who planted could not see this work. They could only see the unchanged surface, and they mistook the appearance of nothing for the reality of nothing. They left too soon. They gave up too early. They abandoned their harvest to anyone willing to wait. When progress is slow, I will not despair. Despair is the trap that catches the impatient when reality fails to match their timeline. They set expectations for how quickly change should come, and when those expectations are not met, they collapse into hopelessness. But I will not follow them into that pit. Slow progress is still progress. A single step forward is still a step forward, regardless of how long it took to take. I will measure my success not by the speed of my advancement, but by the direction of my movement. As long as I am moving toward what matters, I am succeeding. Despair has no claim on me simply because the pace is gentle rather than rapid. When others leap ahead, I will remain steady. This is one of the hardest tests of patience, watching others appear to pass us by. They seem to move so quickly. They seem to achieve so effortlessly. They leap ahead while we continue our slow march, and everything in us wants to abandon our pace and chase after them. But we do not know the full story of their journey. We do not know what corners were cut, what foundations were left unbuilt, what prices will come due in time. And even if their success is genuine and lasting, it does not change the truth of our path. We are not in a race against them. We are building something that can only be built at its own pace. When others leap ahead, we remain steady. Their speed does not invalidate our steadiness. I know that greatness is built in time, that lasting change is slow but sure. Anything that can be built quickly can be destroyed quickly. Anything that can be achieved overnight can disappear by morning. But what is built in time, what is assembled with patience, layer upon layer, year upon year, this becomes something that endures. Lasting change does not rush. It moves at the pace of deep transformation, reshaping foundations rather than rearranging surfaces. It is slow because it is thorough. It is sure because it refuses to skip steps. The greatness we seek is not the kind that flames brightly and burns out. It is the kind that grows slowly and lasts forever. Impatience is the enemy of mastery. Every master understands this truth. Every craftsman who has achieved excellence knows that impatience would have destroyed their journey 1,000 times if they had surrendered to it. Mastery requires repetition that the impatient find unbearable. It demands years of practice that the impatient cannot fathom. It asks for dedication across time spans that the impatient will never commit. Those who cannot wait will never master anything. They will skip from pursuit to pursuit, always beginning, never completing, forever abandoning what was about to yield its secrets because the secrets took too long to emerge. Let others chase quick wins. I will wait, I will build, I will trust the process. The quick wins are tempting. They glitter with immediate reward. They promise satisfaction without the long labor of patient building. Let others chase them. Let others collect their quick wins and discover, in time, how quickly those wins fade, how empty they feel once obtained, how little they contribute to a life of genuine substance. We will take a different path. We will wait when waiting is required. We will build when building is the work at hand. We will trust the process even when the process is slow, even when the process is invisible, even when the process asks us to continue without evidence that continuation will pay. Patience is not weakness, it is quiet, waiting power. This is the truth that the impatient never discover. They mistake stillness for surrender. They confuse waiting with giving up. They see patience as the absence of power rather than its fullest expression. But true power often waits. True strength often holds back. The river that carves the canyon does not hurry. The pressure that forms the diamond does not rush. The force that shapes mountains works across timescales we can barely imagine. This is quiet, waiting power, the kind that does not need to prove itself through speed, the kind that knows it will prevail because it will endure longer than everything that opposes it. I rise above complaints. Complaints are easy. Action is hard. This is the great divide that separates those who shape their lives from those who are shaped by circumstance. Complaining requires nothing of us. It asks no courage, demands no effort, needs no plan. We simply open our mouths and let the grievances pour out. The words come effortlessly because they cost us nothing. We identify what is wrong, we declare our displeasure, and we feel for a moment as though we have done something meaningful. But we have done nothing. We have only made noise. Action, by contrast, asks everything. It requires us to stop talking and start moving. It demands that we risk failure, invest energy, and accept responsibility for what happens next. This is why action is hard. This is why so few choose it. Most people fill the air with grievances, hoping someone will fix their world. Listen to the conversations around you, and you will hear the evidence everywhere. The endless recitation of what is wrong. The detailed cataloging of injustices, large and small, the expectation, sometimes spoken and sometimes silent, that having identified the problem, someone else should now solve it. This is the posture of the complainer, the one who stands at the edge of difficulty and points at it, describing it, lamenting it, but never stepping forward to address it. They fill the air with words about what should be different, what should be better, what someone should do, and then they wait. They wait for the world to rearrange itself according to their preferences. They wait for circumstances to shift without their participation. They wait for someone else to do the work they refuse to do themselves. I will see problems as signals to act, not invitations to whine. This is the transformation of perspective that changes everything. The problem that appears before me is speaking. It is communicating. But what is it saying? The complainer hears an invitation to whine. Here is something wrong. Here is something to grieve about. Here is fuel for your dissatisfaction. But I will hear something different. I will hear a signal to act. The problem is pointing me toward what needs to be done. It is showing me where my energy is needed. It is identifying the work that waits for someone willing to do it. The signal is the same, only the interpretation differs. And the interpretation I choose determines whether I remain trapped in complaint or move forward through action. When the urge to complain appears, I will use that energy to build, to change, to move. The urge to complain carries energy. There is force behind grievance. There is power in dissatisfaction. Most people release this energy through their mouths, letting it dissipate into the air as words that change nothing. But that energy can be redirected. It can be captured and channeled towards something productive. When I feel the complaint rising within me, I will recognize it as energy available for use. I will take that force and point it at building something better. I will use it to change what can be changed. I will let it propel me into movement rather than letting it escape as empty noise. The same dissatisfaction that fuels complaint can fuel transformation if I choose to direct it. Let others talk. I will do. This is the simple distinction that makes all the difference. There are those who talk about what is wrong, and there are those who work to make it right. There are those who describe the problems, and there are those who solve them. There are those who fill meetings with analysis of difficulties, and there are those who leave meetings and address those difficulties directly. Let others talk. They will have their words. They will have their forums for grievance. They will have their audiences for complaint. I will have something different. I will have results. I will have progress. I will have the satisfaction that comes only from doing rather than discussing. Let others curse the darkness. I will search for the candle. This is the image to hold in mind when complaint calls. The darkness is real. No one denies that difficulties exist, that circumstances can be harsh, that life presents genuine challenges. But cursing the darkness accomplishes nothing. We can stand in the black and rage at it all night long, and when morning comes, we will still be standing where we started, having made no progress, having improved nothing. Or we can search for the candle. We can direct our energy toward finding light, rather than lamenting its absence. We can use our hands to strike the match, rather than using our voices to curse the shadows. The darkness does not care about our complaints. It is indifferent to our grievances. It responds only to light, to action, to effort, to the practical work of creating illumination. Every complaint I refuse to make is proof that I am taking responsibility for my life. This is what rises to the surface when complaints sink away. Responsibility, the recognition that my life is mine to shape, the acceptance that waiting for others to fix my world is a form of surrender. Each complaint I swallow is a declaration of ownership. Each grievance I redirect into action is a statement that I am not a helpless victim of circumstance. The complaints I refuse to make create space for something else, for agency, for initiative, for the active engagement with life that distinguishes those who shape their experience from those who merely endure it. Every time I choose action over complaint, I am proving to myself that I have taken the reins of my own existence. My actions shape my fate. Each day, the world writes 1,000 stories of fate, of luck, of chance, of outside power. We hear them everywhere. In the news that declares someone was simply in the right place at the right time. In the explanations that attribute success to fortunate circumstances. In the whispered belief that some invisible hand moves us like pieces on a board, determining our outcomes according to a logic we cannot see and cannot influence. The world loves these stories because they comfort us. They remove the weight of responsibility. They allow us to believe that what happens to us is not our doing, that our station in life was assigned rather than earned, that the future is written somewhere we cannot reach and will unfold regardless of what we do. These stories are told so often and with such conviction that they begin to feel like truth. We absorb them without questioning. We accept that fate is something that happens to us, something external, something beyond our participation. We learn to wait for fortune to smile or to dread its frown, as if we were merely spectators in the theater of our own lives, watching the drama unfold on a stage we cannot access. This is what the world teaches. This is the story the world tells. But we know a deeper truth. Fate is not a wave that washes over us. It is a river we shape with our own hands. Here is the knowledge that changes everything. The wave comes from outside. It arrives with force we did not generate, moving in directions we did not choose, carrying us where it will, regardless of our preferences. If fate were a wave, we would be helpless before it. We would have no choice but to tumble in its power, to be deposited wherever its momentum decided, to accept our destination without voice or vote. But fate is a river, and rivers can be shaped. The water still flows, the current still moves, but the banks can be built, the channels can be dug. The direction can be guided by those willing to put their hands in the water and work. We are not passengers on a wave. We are the ones who shape the riverbed. We determine where the water goes by the choices we make, by the actions we take, by the daily work of carving the path through which our lives will flow. Every morning, say to yourself, "My actions are the tools with which I carve my destiny." Before the day offers its challenges, before circumstances present their tests, establish this truth in your mind. You are not defenseless against what is coming. You are not a passive recipient of whatever fate decides to deliver. You hold tools in your hands, powerful tools, effective tools, tools that have been shaping human destiny since the first person decided to act rather than merely accept. These tools are your actions. Every choice you make is a chisel striking stone. Every deed you perform is a hammer shaping metal. Every effort you invest is a brush adding color to the canvas of your future. Each choice, each deed, each moment of effort bends the future in my direction. This is not metaphor. This is mechanics. This is how destiny actually works for those willing to see it clearly. The future is not a fixed destination waiting for us at the end of a predetermined road. The future is a field of possibility, and every action we take collapses some possibilities while opening others. Each choice bends the trajectory. Each deed shifts the momentum. Each moment of effort pushes the probability toward one outcome rather than another. We are constantly bending the future, constantly shaping what will be, constantly participating in the creation of what comes next. The only question is whether we do this consciously and intentionally or unconsciously and accidentally. Let others wait for luck. There will always be those who sit at the side of the road, eyes lifted toward the sky, hoping that fortune will drop something valuable at their feet. They believe that luck is the great separator, that those who succeed simply received good fortune, while those who struggle simply receive bad. They wait for their turn, for their break, for the moment when the universe will finally notice them and deliver what they have been hoping for. Let them wait. Let them scan the horizon for signs of approaching luck. Let them spend their days in anticipation of what external forces might provide. I will work, I will act, I will make the most of what is given to me. This is the different path, the path of the one who has understood that waiting is not a strategy. While others wait for luck, I will work. Not because work guarantees success. Nothing guarantees success, but because work is the tool I actually possess. I cannot control whether luck arrives. I can control whether I show up prepared to use whatever arrives. While others hope for favorable circumstances, I will act. Action is available to me today, in this hour, in this moment. I do not need permission to act. I do not need conditions to be perfect to act. I need only the recognition that action is my power and the willingness to use it. And I will make the most of what is given to me. This is the wisdom that transforms limitation into opportunity. Not everyone receives the same starting conditions. Not everyone inherits the same advantages. The distribution of circumstances is genuinely unequal. But within whatever has been given, there is always something to work with. There is always raw material for those with eyes to see it. The one who makes the most of little will often surpass the one who makes little of much. What has been given to me may not be everything I wanted, but it is what I have, and what I have in my hands, put to work by my effort, shaped by my choices, this is enough to build a destiny. Gratitude guides my day. In the pursuit of more, it is easy to forget what we already have. This is the great blindness of our age. We are taught from our earliest days to reach, to strive, to accumulate, to chase the next achievement before we have finished celebrating the last. The culture around us measures worth in acquisition: more money, more status, more possessions, more accomplishments. We internalize this message so completely that we barely notice how it shapes our vision. Our eyes become trained to scan the horizon for what we do not yet possess. Our minds become calibrated to notice the gap between where we are and where we want to be. And in this relentless focus on what is missing, we lose sight of what is present. The pursuit of more is not wrong in itself. Growth is natural. Ambition has its place. But when the pursuit becomes so consuming that we cannot see what already fills our hands, we have traded wisdom for hunger. We stand in the middle of abundance and feel only scarcity. We are surrounded by gifts and see only the empty spaces where other gifts might fit. This is not a path to fulfillment. This is a path to perpetual dissatisfaction, to a life spent chasing a satisfaction that recedes with every step we take toward it. Most walk through life blind to their blessings, seeing only what they lack. Watch how people move through their days, and you will witness this blindness everywhere. They have health, but notice only the ache in their back. They have shelter, but see only the house that is larger than theirs. They have people who love them, but focus only on the relationships that did not work out. They have opportunities, but dwell only on the doors that closed. The blessings are real. They are tangible. They are present in every hour of every day. But the eyes that could see them have been trained to look elsewhere, to see only what is absent, to register only what is lacking. This blindness is not inevitable. It is a habit of vision, and habits can be changed. The eyes that have learned to see only lack can learn to see abundance. The mind that has been trained to notice only the missing can be retrained to notice the present. This is the work of gratitude, not a mere feeling that comes and goes, but a discipline of attention, a practice of seeing, a daily commitment to look for what is already good in the life we have been given. This morning, pause and say, "Gratitude guides my day." Before the rush begins, before the demands crowd in, before the familiar blindness settles over your eyes, pause. Speak these words to yourself. Let them become the lens through which you will see the coming hours. Gratitude is not just a response to good things. It is a way of moving through all things. It is not something that happens after blessings are counted. It is the counting itself. When gratitude guides the day, every experience is filtered through a different awareness. The ordinary becomes visible. The taken for granted becomes remarkable. The background of blessing that we usually ignore comes into focus. I will look for what is good, even when life is hard. This is the discipline at the heart of genuine gratitude. Anyone can feel grateful when circumstances are favorable. Anyone can notice blessings when they are obvious and abundant, but true gratitude does not depend on favorable conditions. It looks for what is good, especially when life is hard, especially when darkness presses close, especially when every instinct wants to focus on what is wrong. The good is still there, even in difficulty. The light still flickers, even in the storm. Gratitude is the commitment to keep looking until we find it. I will thank the struggles that made me strong, the friends who stood by me, the breath in my lungs. These are the three dimensions of gratitude that cover the fullness of our experience. The struggles that made us strong, these are the hard gifts, the unwanted teachers, the difficulties we would not have chosen, but which shaped us into something more resilient than we would otherwise have been. Gratitude that can thank the struggle has reached maturity. It has learned that not all gifts come wrapped in pleasure. The friends who stood by us, these are the human anchors, the ones who remained when others left, the hands that reached out when we were falling. We did not earn their loyalty. We did not deserve their constancy. They gave it freely, and gratitude remembers. The breath in my lungs, this is the most fundamental gift, so basic that we forget it entirely until it is threatened. But every breath is a continuation of life itself. Every inhale is another moment granted. Gratitude that reaches this deep has found the foundation beneath all other blessings. Gratitude is a lamp that lights every dark place. When darkness descends, and it will descend, because darkness is part of every human journey, we need light to see by. We need something that illuminates what would otherwise remain hidden. Gratitude is this lamp. It does not eliminate the darkness. It does not pretend the darkness does not exist.